Today, card fighters, I bring you another exciting deck profile as we'll be taking a look at my Blue Skies Night Dragon Halmveld deck for the current format of Cardfight Vanguard Divine Sea. Blue Skies Night Dragon Halmveld has been a deck I've teased a little bit here and there on my other channels such as Discord on here, but I finally get the opportunity to show you guys my final variation of this deck. This is a Keter Sanctuary deck that takes advantage of all their generic orders combined with the effects of other units for high powered attacks, multi-attack plays, as well as all the beneficial resources you get from playing some of the strongest orders currently in the game with the best package. And we can finally go ahead and showcase what that looks like. Now before I can do that, you guys already know what's coming next. If you enjoy seeing content like this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget the notification bell so you're always updated my newest videos coming out. Alright card fighters, so to get this deck profile started off with the ride line, I am playing the Olden ride line for Halmveld. This is hands down the best generic Keter Sanctuary ride line that we have thanks to Trankia and Studios, who were always able to put additional rear guards onto the board while either compressing the deck or putting themselves on there for additional early game attacks. Because Halmveld, the variation of this deck that I play, is locked into 4 attacks, being able to rush in the early game and secure damage is incredibly important, and this ride line just does that free of charge as well as continuously benefiting all of our pieces throughout the entirety of the game. Now moving on to main deck grade 3s, we are playing 3 copies of our Blue Skies Night Dragon Halmveld. Outside of the benefit of Persona and Halmveld making his debut on this channel, he has 2 powerful Vanguard effects which I'll now read. His first one states, Continuous Vanguard Circle. If you played a normal order this turn, all of your front row rear guards get power plus 5,000, and all of your back row rear guards get boost. Auto Vanguard Circle, when this unit attacks, cost Counterblast 1, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 3 or less card from among them, reveal it and call it to Rear Guard Circle if that card is a unit card, and put it into hand if it is an order card. Shuffle the deck. If an order card was revealed by this effect, choose a column and stand all of your rear guards in that column. Now Halmveld is a deck that is able to convert any unit of any grade into a booster while amassing power onto the rear guard circles. The additional attack patterns will change based on what you reveal from the top 5 check, but based off the way that I approach this deck and the way that we play it, we'll be able to take full advantage of everything that Halmveld has to offer. Compressing your deck for orders and more units while also converting any cards you put into the deck into a booster with power, Halmveld has a lot of flexibility and versatility while building the deck for play of any situation during any format. Moving on to grade 2s, I am playing 2 copies of Magic of Alteration Tunar. Now in this deck we do use a bit of CB and Soul, and Tunar in my personal opinion has been one of the stronger units of helping maintain those resources without any sort of weird requirements to it. A lot of the times, especially towards the later game, is when the deck will start amassing higher CB costs for our orders, our Vanguard's effect, and other abilities that we might play. But Tunar has just been great for that. It's also a grade 2 with the ability of shield as well as becoming a booster through the effect of Halmveld and helping essentially help us maintain our resources. Now for my next grade 2, if this is supposed to be a different cycler, fortunately I do not have it because it will also be cycling out too much from my wallet. But imagine this card as Divine Sister Biscotti, who I'll put up on the screen now. Now Biscotti is the energy cycler for Keter Sanctuary, and she works much better than the Spiral Cutie that you have here. The Biscotti uses energy in the deck that we do not use for anything else, and because we're not using our energy in any of the resources, it just makes sense to have her. Her on-place effect to compress the deck to call something out, or to stack the deck while adding something to our hand, and the defensive skill makes it a fantastic addition for this deck. Spiral Cutie, I just have this card here as a proxy because while I tried it out, I think that it changes the chemistry of the deck as well as certain pieces that you might have in here because it demands more resources. I think both cards are valid to play within this deck, but if you definitely want the guaranteed best version without having to put extra thought into this deck, I think Biscotti is the route to go. For my next grade 2, it is 4 copies of 4 Front Knight Teethfolt. At this point, I think we all know what this does. This is part of the order package for Keter Sanctuary. Teethfolt's ability to amass power in the later game as well as superior call rear guards and add orders to your hand makes her a fantastic addition for this deck. She's one of your key beaters as well as key support pieces that allows Halmveld to have the formation needed to take full advantage of its offensive effects while also setting up your early game for extra pressure and attacks. For my next grade 2, it is 3 copies of a personal tech that I have grown very fond of. It is Denuse of Slender Sword Diana. Now Diana is a common grade 2 with a very simple but powerful effect. She states, Continuous Rearguard Circle. If your other units placed on Rearguard Circle from deck this turn, this unit gets power plus 10,000. Now, you might be wondering, out of everything else that I have for Keter Sanctuary, why would I put this in here? Very simple. As I stated, Halmveld is a 4 attack deck, which means that because we're limited to 4 attacks each turn, it's very important that we are able to amass as much damage as we can to our opponent in the early game, and Diana having no restrictions on her power bonus is fantastic. Calling this card when you're on Studios Grade 2, benefiting from the effect of Tranquilla if you get it active, means that Diana will come onto the board as a 20,000 power unit. Combine that with a booster or the card that you called out, whether it be a trigger or something, she'll immediately be at a magic number in her own column, making it almost incredibly hard for your opponent to guard against, and that's 1 point of damage already practically secured outside of the Vanguard attack. Combine that with boosters, Teethful, and other abilities to compress the deck for triggers, as well as the units that have power-up effects in their own, especially in our Grade 1 lineup, Diana becomes one of the strongest offensive and supportive cards throughout any time period of the game. Now moving on to Grade 1s, I play 3 copies of Knight of Brave Advanced Kadugan. Knight of Brave Advanced Kadugan was not in my deck originally when I was doing my Locals Fight Night. He ended up making his way back into the deck because one of the inherent flaws of Halmveld, if it hasn't become obvious already, is that when this deck does not pull an order from deck to hand or just get one active, Halmveld immediately falls flat on its face, and that's not good for it. So Kadugan being a grade 1 unit that we can call out into the early game to compress our deck for an order, get that order active, and then cycle it out later, as well as get power from that, makes him a fantastic early game offense piece as well as a fantastic setup piece for Halmveld. For my next grade 1, obviously the MVP of Keter Sanctuary, now 4 copies of Sargowan. The strongest Keter Sanctuary card outside of Teethful in the order, hands down. This is part of the package that lets you compress your deck for additional cards to hand, more power, and just get things going. I think we all know what this does by now. For my next grade 1, obviously we have 3 copies of our Keter Sanctuary Sentinel and 1 copy of Elementaria. Now moving on to orders, we are obviously playing 4 copies of the best order right now, which is Wisdom and Beginning that cleared the world. A Pot of Greed for Keter Sanctuary, you're able to counterblast 2, draw 2, call 2, get your Teethful Sargowan going, get Teethful going, trigger Diana's effect, get the power, get more things to your hand, get Halmveld going. Yeah, the Keter package is the best package for this deck because that's what it was built for, and again, we all know what this does. 1 copy of Uplifting Him. This is the target order for Kadugan. Just in case we don't find any orders by the time we hit Halmveld, we can call Kadugan out hopefully and then be able to compress our deck for Uplifting Him. This will get things going, give 5k to 2 rear guards, and then if your hand still doesn't have an order, you can keep cycling this card out until you actually find the normal order that you want to get going for your Vanguard's ability for the following turn. For my next card, it is my Blitz Order, Heavenly Bright. Sometimes in Halmveld, because your hand size isn't the largest, it is important to have strong Blitz Orders since we can't compress for it. Heavenly Bright is the best one. Even with the Biscotti, you still have enough energy in most cases to do this. The additional defense, the being able to check the top card of your deck to determine how you want to set up your turn, all really impactful skills, and it's also essentially free. And finally, for my Regardless piece in my order line, I play 1 copy of Bracing Angel Ladder. Now, Halmveld, like I stated, one of the weaknesses of this deck is the fact that it doesn't build up like a 10-12 card hand compared to everything else right now, or the largest hands in general. You get a decent size, but you need to protect your rear guards, you need to protect key pieces to make sure your formation stays the same every single turn, because once you set up that perfect formation with your Dianas, your Teethfuls, and your offensive pieces going, you're not going to want them messed with. So this card protects that, gives you soul as well as additional draw, so just keep your plays going, keep your Vanguard strong, and protect your allies. Now moving on for triggers in this deck, my trigger lineup is very simple now. I am playing a total of 8 critical, 4 of them being the effects, 4 of them being the normal crits, followed by 3 front triggers, 1 red OT, and to wrap it up, 4 generic heals. I approach Halmveld as an incredibly aggressive deck, and if the game goes on too long, this deck can deck out. You do a lot of compression, drawing, searching, cycling things out. Every turn Halmveld calls something out. Your deck can compress a lot, and despite the additional power from Halmveld, if things aren't going your way, you still need extra power to push. You need to maximize on doing as much damage as you can with those 4 attacks every single turn, otherwise you will get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of attacks and power that other decks right now are able to do. I think that a purely offensive line is the best lineup for Halmveld, especially with the way that I play and approach this deck. Now that I've had more time to train and practice with it, is the better route to go. If you don't like fronts, you can play draws. Draws are cool, but I definitely think that the red OT needs to stay. The Keter one is cool, but you will deck out. The only other OT I like for this is the purple OT. You would have to change your attack patterns because of the nature of the purple overtrigger if you want to reduce your damage, but I just think that in general the red OT is better. You get a draw, call from hand, you can get 6 attacks. This is how you do it. Not 6 attacks, I'm sorry, 5. Now that I've discussed my Halmveld deck profile with y'all, here's the game plan for it. Halmveld is right now a 4-attack deck. I've been alluding throughout the entirety of the video, but it's incredibly important that you start finding your orders, your teethful, to make sure that this way you can set up your early game formation to hit your opponent with 3 attacks every single turn. If you're going first, you really want to emphasize doing as much damage as you can while your opponent is at grade 2, because Halmveld will be able to amass a lot of power on his first grade 3 turn. Diana is active early, you're still going to have the benefit from Sargowan because you played an Order, Kadugan gets power on his own, you have a lot of cards that can amass a lot of power in the early game, so you have to take advantage of that to capitalize on the offense that Halmveld can do before you get steamrolled by your opponent's strategy. You're trying to finish the game as quickly as you possibly can with your orders as well as your Vanguard's effect to amass as much power and additional attacks, so you want to make sure that you're able to do that every single turn while having an order to play offensively every turn and making sure that your defense is good and keeping your damage low. It's a tall order for the deck, but Halmveld definitely has the pieces to do it. We've seen how great Cuter Sanctuary is with its Cuter package. The order is strong by helping you draw cards out, filtering out the units you want on the board, filtering out the cards you want in your hand for defense. You have front triggers for additional shield, as well as the fact that a lot of your superior calling comes to your ride line, and the other card effects get more units onto the board, so your hand doesn't get messed up too bad from just putting things on place and losing out on cards to block with. This is how you want to approach Halmveld, and this is my current take on it, but let me know down in the comment section below how are you playing this deck or what do you think about it. I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on my Halmveld deck, as well as getting a discussion going about this deck, because this is a deck I've actually been playing for a couple of months now. I haven't discussed it in a while, and I haven't really put any sort of like discretion on it or outside of Discord and other channels I look at. Also follow me on those real quick before we get into anything else, so that this way we can talk more about it. But I do think this is a fun deck. There's definitely not too much I would change about it. A couple maybe tweaks here and there for fun or explorative takes, but I'm pretty secure in my Halmveld deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it too with me. Now with that being said, card fighters, I'm your host Prime Vanguard, and I'll catch you later. Peace.